Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. I am Dr. Katherine E. James. Welcome to Conversations with Dr. Katherine E. James. It is absolutely my pleasure, my delight to be able to connect with you this evening to have life giving conversations. Our goal always is to be able to come together and to help humanity to live well from this notion of self love. And that comes from Luke 10 and 27, where it says, Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, mind, soul, and strength, and thy neighbor as thyself. Beloved, it's that last part, the as thyself part that we park at, where God has gifted us and called us to help humanity to move forward, to love yourself well first, so that you always have an overflow, always an abundance to pour out to others. And so this platform is designed, we're going to come together each month and we're going to talk a little bit about it. It's still unfolding as to what it'll look like, but it looks like it's going to be once a month on a Friday, like this Friday, where we come to have conversations that matter to me and that matter to you. And this is one of those conversations, beloved. And so I personally I serve as a self-love transformational coach and a freedom conductor. So why did I switch? I switched just a little bit to give you that, because as a freedom conductor, I use my inner Harriet Tubman to put all forms of bondage on notice that freedom, beloved, is our birthright. It's our birthright. And this evening's conversation is all about freedom. It is all about being able to be your own self, to show up as you, to pursue purpose and destiny on your own terms. So I'm so super excited about it. And so we're going to we're going to bring Mr. Ryan King to the screen first. Hello, Ryan. Oh, what happened? Are you cooking and not cooking at the same time? Wow. 1 second. Hello, Ryan. Hello.
Hello.
It is so absolutely wonderful to see your face and to be able to have a conversation with you this evening. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, yes. And so what I want to share with the listening audience how this is even possible for it to be. And so Ryan and I met in 2019 and in October, beginning of November, at a Lisa Nichols event where I was entering this whole new world of, I didn't know it would be called coaching. I didn't know what it was. I just knew that I was called to be there, that Lisa was doing the kinds of things that I had just retired from my job to do. And I needed to be around people who were doing the things that I knew in my soul it was for me to do. And I distinctly, Ryan, remember seeing you at different places, but it was one for some reason it seared into my mind. One moment standing in the hallway right outside of where they used to have the kind of the red carpet. You was kind of tucked off by that little sign that was there. And for whatever reason, that still seared in my brain as I was walking past. We greeted each other and, not a long conversation, but that's where I distinctly place you at the event. So what took you, what brought you to, what were we at? Newport Beach. What brought you there?
Well, what drew me there was a video that I seen. I heard Matt and Lisa kept on talking about to register, and but it was a video that I seen when it was a bunch of men surrounded in a circle and
Mm,
kept on affirming each other in that circle. So that's what drew me when I see how life changing it was
wow.
for the men. I can see the energy. I can feel the
Yeah.
energy and see their faces with tears and how they was being uplifted and being
Yeah.
free from whatever it is was holding them back, whatever beliefs that were
Mm.
holding them back. So that's what drew me and said, okay, now that's that's the part where I had to have faith and say, I'm going to that right there. I don't know how I'm gonna get there. I don't know. I don't have the money to get there, but I
Yeah.
knew from that moment I wanted to be in that space.
Wow. It's so interesting. Like, we never know where life is going to take us and how we're going to have these intersections, right? And so it's the same as tonight. And so we have two other gentlemen who we're going to bring up in just a moment, who I have the pleasure of meeting just tonight, not too long ago. And it's because you and I met in 2019, and you have collaborated with, I think it's five other men, and a visionary to bring this work, called Emerging Men, to our right to manifestation. And so tonight, Ryan is leading the way for us to have this conversation tonight with two of the other authors. And so we'll bring them forward now. We'll bring in Karl Hemingway and Kevin L. Booker Jr. Welcome, welcome to
All right.
Conversations with Dr.
Thank you, Dr. James.
James.
Yeah.
It is
Thank you.
my honor and my privilege to have each one of you gentlemen on tonight. I'm super excited about our conversation. So,
Mhm.
so just so you know, I love just going back and forth and laid back, just having honest, authentic, life-giving conversations. And so, so I don't have my book yet, but where I have been able to pull out some information. I've got my notes here. I read some forwards, looked at the cover. First of all, the name of the book is Emerging Men, a transformational stories of hope, inspiration, and purpose. Okay, so that got me right there. That just got me right there. First of all, men talking about transformation, hope, inspiration, and purpose. So I would like each one of you to tell me how you came to be a part of this very powerful work. Very powerful work. So if we could start with you, Ryan, how did you come to be a part of this powerful work?
Well, I came to be a part of this project by seeing Tara Hall. So shout out to Tara Hall, who is the visionary author of Emerging Men. And I was seeing her post on the stories about this project and all the issues that can be talked about in this book. And I kept on drawing me the issues, and not only the issues, but that was again that was for man to see all men to come together
Yeah.
and be a part of one project, this book. So that's what drew me in, and then of course I heard a few people told me, you are a good writer. Maybe you should think about writing a book. So I thought this was a great start since I only was can write a chapter. It was only a chapter. So that's what drew me in and said yes to this.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm super excited. And so clearly I'm excited, and I'm going to back up just a little bit. So for the whole of 2020, I did a show like this called 9/11, and it was
Mm.
basically my gift back to humanity to deal with the emerging topics that was happening during 2020. And so I was a lot more practiced and polished and all those kinds of things. So it's been a minute. And how we got to be here tonight was actually because of Ryan. So Ryan
Mm.
reached out to me and said, "Hey, Dr. James, I know you used to do this. What about this?" And I had already made a commitment to myself that I would come back to this platform. So I want to give kudos to Ryan for that. Yes, and then I want to back up and do it. One thing that I've missed. I want our listening audience to know who you gentlemen are. So, Kevin, as you get ready to come forward, we'll come back to Ryan. as you get ready to come forward and talk about how you came to be a part of the work, can you also share with our listening audience how it is that you show up in the world?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, I want to say thank you very much, Dr. James, for having us on this show, this incredible platform. Kudos to my brother, who's another author, phenomenal brother, Ryan King, another also incredible man here is Karl Hemingway. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. Um, Showing up on this book. First of all, I want to say thankful to God. God bringing us together. When I think of Ephesians 2-2:10, for we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works,
Yes.
which God prepared in advance for us to do.
Yes.
So when I think about the work, God's handiwork, was God aligned all of us together, and God brought us together as one, as a community, throughout the world, because we're all from different parts. And outside of this, I'm a professor. I have my own company that I established in 2007, Booker Empowerment LLC. I'm on multiple boards, and now I can call myself an author, which I'm honored to be here today. And I'm really looking forward to digging deep in this conversation, because as you alluded to earlier, and as you said earlier, freedom is our birthright.
Yes.
That's right. And this book, Emerging Men, taps into freedom and what our freedom is and our destiny to be, to inspire others. And as you said earlier, to come together to help humanity move forward. That's what we are doing in this book. Coming together as one and inspiring generations to come. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so I love the idea of Ephesians, where you said good works that God prepared for us to do, the good works that God prepared for us to do. I am a firm believer that each one of us we are a gift, and we're full of gifts. Right? We are each gifts in our own unique right. Like one of my slogans is, and I have like 5 degrees, but I love to say it like this: can't nobody do you like you do you. Double negative.
That's right.
Nobody can do you like you do you. Because when we realize that we are gifted, then we stop apologizing and shrinking, and we just show up as ourselves. Right? So thank you for that Ephesians scripture. Welcome. All right, Karl, we are on to you. Share with us how you came to be a part and how you show up in the world.
I came to this point being a co-author through my wife. She and Tara have worked together and had also been to, I think, the same seminar that inspired her to be my wife to become an author, and also continue her work in health and wellness as a coach. And so it was kind of, for me, a little bit of a surprise, because I didn't realize that I had that much to say. But I think the wonderful part about starting and moving forward was maybe a little bit of becoming more self-aware, and just thinking about, okay, this is what happened to me. Why would I want to share it? And it came to me that, well, it's important to be able to help others, other men, other fathers that have been in a situation of divorce, child custody, and experiencing what it's like to go through the system, which is very difficult, and you feel very alone. But I think I can share, and I have shared, how I was able to almost jumpstart myself from coming from a situation where looked very difficult and lonely to being able to find myself looking back and say, wow, how did I get here? So I'm able to tell people how I got here. And I'll coin a quote just recently from Andy Reid, the coach of Kansas City, who said, well, it looks pretty grim, but when it gets grim, you become the Grim Reaper.
Oh,
so I like that. That's what he said to Patrick Mahomes just before he won. So I like that.
I do too. I like it. So what it does is, Karl, you just perfectly described the very unique aspect that we have as humans: adaptability, flexibility, ability to pivot and shift, right? To use our prefrontal cortex, our executive functioning, and make some decisions, have intention about what our next steps are. So I love that.
Oh, thank you. And also, there's a part of it that just, I think, you refuse to accept defeat. And I guess that is the same theme, but it just doesn't enter your mind. You keep moving forward and hopefully upwards.
Yes. And so I want to park there for a minute. So we're going to hold that for a minute in case I forget, right? Refuse to accept defeat and moving upward. That's what I'm going to come back to. But what I want to do is I want to go make sure I go to the chat and recognize a couple of folk who are here. And Kamar.
Oh,
yes. And so welcome. Audio Bracy, this is my nephew. Hey, honey, welcome. Keisha Yerby and Ryan, this is another one that we met in. So we met in Newport Beach. Hello, my dear sister Keisha. And this is my dear friend, Devira L. Happy Friday, Devira L. Welcome. All right. And so the idea of not accepting defeat. And if we can speak to that and pause and have a conversation around that for a moment, because Karl, that's my life's philosophy too. That's what I believe in. But I do know that there are some who that's not their reality. Like, what would we say to them?
That's a very interesting question. And I think the best is just to share my experience and not impose what I have experienced or done, and don't say this is what you should do, but this is what I did. This is how it worked for me. And hopefully people will be able to relate to that and find some meaning to it.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Kevin, what's your response to that? What is
my response to that is, I love the fact that in the next few days we celebrate Black History Month.
Yeah.
But Black History is 365 days a year for me.
That's right.
So when I think about Black history, I think about how we have overcome the odds. And persevere through the storms.
Yes.
And continue to persevere no matter what was held against us.
That's right.
And I think of a famous quote by Frederick Douglass, which says, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Without struggle, there is no progress.
Yes.
So defeat is only in the mind.
It
starts here in the mind.
Yes.
And we cannot allow our mind to dictate our actions or things that we want to accomplish in our lives.
Yes.
We have to continue persevering, but we have to also have individuals around us who will hold us accountable and also uplift us and encourage us to be the best that we are destined to be and tap into our greatness.
Yes.
And a lot of times it's like crabs. When you see crabs, you have one crab that's crawling up, and the other one pulls the other one down. We cannot allow individuals around us who are not going to be better for us.
Yes.
So that's what a defeation, when someone becomes, they get that in their mind, that negative
Yeah.
energy, that
Yeah.
negative self-talk,
Yes.
that's when it becomes reality in their mind.
Yeah.
We have to continue allowing ourselves to push ourselves to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Ah, yes. Yes. I love it. So much to that. So much. Thank you. I can run on so many places with that. The one thing that I would say is scripture tells us to take captive our thoughts, to take them captive. And so all of our actions began from a thought. And so if we think we can't, right, that we can't, well, even though Henry Ford said that we can't, but as a man or woman thinketh, all of those notions and conversations lets us know that there's so much power in where we put our energy, our thinking energy. And yes, I could go so many places, but I'm gonna go to Ryan so we can get back to the book. We're probably gonna have to have a part 2 because
I know
we can go all over the place. My brother Ryan, when we think about individuals who believe that giving up is an option, what do you have to say to them?
Well, I have to say to that, I'm reminded of a song, a gospel song.
Yeah.
Anyone who's familiar with me, I'm always going to go back to music in some kind of way.
Yeah.
So this song by a gospel artist named Karl. And in this song called Greater Is Coming, she mentions an olive has to go through 3 stages for its oil to run. It has to go through the shaking, the beating, and the pressing. And just like the olive, some of us have felt like when you go through the shaking, when we go through the shaking, the beating, and the pressing, we went through all of that for our oil to flow. So now, after we've been through all of that, we can be encouraged to know that our greater is coming.
Don't get me started talking about oil flowing, okay? Don't get me started, Ryan, okay? Because I believe that we are to live from the runneth over place, right? That our cup is to stay full and we're to serve from our saucer, not the cup. That belongs to you. So when I think about the oil, right, and I know it's coming from the press, I know it's coming from going through kind of like as the quote that Kevin shared, that that we don't grow without the struggle. I know that's what that press and that oil is coming from. But the blessing in the oil, right? It's ours. It's unique to ours. It's us. It's rich, and it serves others tremendously, right? It serves others. So wonderful. Thank you, my brother. I love that. I love the 3 movements: the pressing, the shaking. I love that. So we've got the chat that's on and popping. We've got Uche. So we got a tribe again, Ryan. A tribe is in the house. Hello, Uche. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, Uche. We have Uche again. Hello, everyone. Then we have Brisa. Hello, Brisa. Brisa, you are on my mind today. We have got to connect. We've got to connect. Hello, Brisa. And Brenda. Hey, sister. We have and continue to overcome the odds. We cannot allow our minds to dictate. That's right. That's right. I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And then we have Brisa. Hashtag be greater. Brisa has a phenomenal, amazing story about overcoming. An amazing story. So yes, absolutely. Welcome. Oh, Lavonda Norman. Hello. Hello. All right, Lavonda's new to me. Is she one of you? You guys know Lavonda?
No.
Okay.
Well, we know her now. Hello.
Hi, Lavonda. Right. Hey, Lavonda.
Yeah.
So, okay, the book. So I've printed some things out. We got Debbie Kokolos in the house. She said she just talked about being uncomfortable. She just talked about being uncomfortable. Yes. I love it. That's where we grow.
That's right.
So this book, this amazing book. First of all, I just want to say kudos to each one of you for sharing your story, because it is from our true stories that others are able to grow, that we grow and we get freedom from telling our story. Lisa Nichols talks about standing on our story and not in it, like not being imprisoned by our truth, but letting it be a platform for moving forward. So the forward talks about it came into being because the visionary Tara Hall, she had released an Emerging Women, it says, in January of 2021. And so she said it was her desire for male leaders to have a space to share their personal testimonies. And this is the piece that I think is so powerful. She said, all too often, men are taught to hide or stuff their feelings and emotions for fear that they will be viewed as weak in the eyes of society. And that piece is so powerful. As a licensed professional counselor, I know that is one of the most difficult things is for men to be comfortable to express their emotions, to be free to say where they really are, because societally we start really young by saying big boys don't cry.
Mm.
Right then we say stuff it in a nice way. Do you see? And so so kudos to Tara for this work. And so we are blessed tonight to have 3 of the 6 authors with us. And Ryan's chapter is Freedom to Be. Freedom to Be. Oh my God, speaking my language. And Kevin's chapter is Life on the Top of the Box. Look, so I'm gonna move out the way because I need to hear what Freedom to Be is about. I need to hear what Life is on the Top of the Box is about. And Karl Hemingway's chapter is Still Standing.
That's right.
I don't even know where I want to go first. Like where I want to go first. Where I want to go. Okay, so Karl, I'm going to come to you because we've heard a little bit of your story first. So let's go to you first. Talk a little bit more about your story. Karl says, still standing. So y'all get your paper, get your pencils, sit back, get your popcorn, put your feet up, you're sparkling. Here we go, diving deep into Emerging Men. And we've got Karl Hemingway coming up first.
I think I'll start by saying, for me, about 10 years ago, I had a situation where I was going through divorce, custody, and as a result of that, job loss all at the same time. And it's very overwhelming. And to just be able to have perspective of looking back 10 years and saying, wow, that was just hard to believe from where I've come and where I am now. So I think the message is really keep yourself moving and don't just accept maybe letting yourself be part of a situation where you're having to really work hard just to stay afloat. But I think it's important, as Kevin mentioned, keep yourself in company of good people, positive people, so that you can learn and have some of their energy to help you move up and not down, and you to continue believing in yourself, even if you're not sure why, but just to know that you'll make it to the other side. And even when you have what seems like a court system that is definitely biased against men, and it's not fair, just know that you can do this, you will do it, and if you can't do it for yourself, you do it for your children. So that's, I think, the most important.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, your story. And so you had, what to say, the trifecta, if you will. You had divorce, custody, and joblessness all at the same time.
And on top of that, I needed to move from California back to Massachusetts, where I grew up. And so, as a result of that, I had the privilege of having to deal with the court in California as well as in Massachusetts,
Wow.
because both of them wanted to have their say in the outcome. So it was exciting, overwhelming, and the bills were heavenly.
Oh, I love the way you said that. That caught me off guard. Okay, that caught me off guard. The bills were heavenly. Usually, we don't put bills in heavenly.
It was a religious experience.
So, right, a religious. Yes, I love it. Wow. And so to look back 10 years, the loud message, the powerful message that I heard is stay in action, keep moving. Keep moving. Don't get stuck. Keep moving, because it won't be this way forever.
That's right.
Yes.
Right? That's what I heard
Yes.
so loudly. It won't be this way forever. If there's anything constant in our universe, it's change, right? We all can agree with that.
Yes.
Right? Change is constant. We can't get away from that. And so if we keep moving, we get something different. I honor you for your journey, sir. I honor you for pressing in and for telling your story, and another piece I want to highlight is you talked about community, as Kevin also talked about, and making sure that the energy you engage is that which will keep you lifted and not weigh you down. Yeah,
that's true. And I think the biggest mistake you could make is to surround yourself with bitter people, because divorce can make you very bitter. And I can't say that I did not experience that, but if you start to have that with you, or people that have that, and if you will preach that gospel to you, you will become that type of person, and that's not who you want to be.
yeah, that is a powerful point. And let me tell you, I was listening to something earlier, and it talked about that specifically, in the sense that when we're suffering, when we're going through, we often want people to be able to kind of resonate with where we are. And we have to be really careful about that, because if we begin to commiserate, then it's going to pull us both down. Right. And so we need that balance.
And the corollary to that is, if you are bitter, that comes off of you in waves, and you won't move forward. You won't meet the next important person in your life, whether it's a new friend or a wife, girlfriend, that will help you as a friend, as a helpmate. And I started my life completely over. I have a beautiful wife and wonderful children. And if I came into that with a fixed, this is, poor me, or I hate women, or I hate the court, or I just hate everything in general, it comes off you, and you won't attract anybody that you want to meet. They'll sense that, or maybe you'll just push them away. So I think it's very important that one thing leads to another, and if you can keep moving in the right direction, good things happen.
Excellent. Absolutely. Because like tracks alike, tracks like. And so if you are living in a bitter space, that's what will be attracted to us, whatever it is. I mean, sowing and reaping is real. And so what we sow, we reap back. And so thank you for that. Thank you for that point there. Ryan, I am going to come to you, my brother. Yours is The Freedom to Be by Ryan King. Now pause it for 1 second, because we've got some folk. We've got Tasha Lyman that says you certainly have to refuse to accept defeat. Thank you, Tasha. We got Patience, who talked about the trifecta. Wow, it was more than a trifecta, because I didn't even know about the two courts in the two different states. Wow, but yes, the trifecta. And the patient says that it won't be this way forever. Things will
Right.
change. That's
Mm.
right. And then we have
Right.
one more from patients. We have a choice on what we surround ourselves with to be bitter or better. Be
Mm.
intentional with your strategy. Thank you for drop the mic. And then we got
Whoa.
Brenda says, thank you. Thank you, Karl. Yes, yes,
Mm.
yes, yes, yes. And Lavonda, she says, hashtag keep moving forward. I love it. Thank you, audience. Thank you, audience. I love the engagement. All right, my brother Ryan, freedom to be. Go ahead, my brother.
Freedom to be, I was encouraged because to me, it's all about being free. That's what, if for those of us who are spiritual, who believe in God, God wants us to be free
Yeah,
and not to live in bondage.
yeah.
And not only that part, but I wrote this just to so we can so I can also learn to be free from the labels that can be attached to us through different experiences. For example, I was in special ed. So all I thought of myself and all I felt was that label of being in special ed. And then it goes, I talk about sexuality and being labeled in that label that comes with sexuality. Um, then I also talk about the label of being fatherlessness, not knowing my biological father. And so it was all these different labels that I was freeing myself from, trying to understand my purpose, who I am, my identity, and not only who I am, but what I'm called to do. I know we mentioned gifts, so that's what I had to find my identity in: is what are my gifts? 'Cause I felt like I was not good enough because of the label of special ed. I thought I could not be around men in a healthy way because of that label of sexuality. So I had to break free, and continue to break free as someone mission, and keep moving no matter what the labels that were attached to me, or even I attached to my own self. Like when the behavior problems, I attached that I'm just an angry person, or I'm emotional. Now, of course, that's been said to me as well, but just all those different things or different labels, I had to continue to say, no, I'm not an angry person. I'm not a violent person. I'm not, special ed. I'm not depression. That's something that I'll talk about. I'm not dealing with mental health challenges, depression, and being diagnosed with major depression disorder. I said I'm not none of those things. I have to continue to fight my way and to press my way and to find my identity, who I am. So that's what that freedom to be. Freedom to be exactly who you are created to be, and be able to explore without the attachments of the labels that can that I chose to limit me at times. I'm gonna put it on myself that I chose to limit myself at times, and choose to break out and be something different, show something different, do something different. So that's what pretty much the chapter is about, just exploring different avenues on finding who I am and finding the gifts and utilizing my gifts.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for that.
Mm.
It's that last piece that where you drop the mic. It's that it's that last piece where you said I chose to not limit myself. I chose to not limit, right? When you, because what you just said there, Ryan, you talked about labels. You talked about how other put labels on you. And we know with children, when we put labels on children, it often becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because they trust us. We're their leaders, we're there, they look up to us, and so they believe what we say. And out of our limitation, we, when limits are put on children, then they began to act it out and fulfill those kinds of things. And so whether it's you limiting yourself or someone else limiting you, it comes down to what is the narrative that we're going to own and that we're going to tell ourselves. And so, Ryan, what you said was that ultimately you had to own it. You had to decide who you were going to be, and you had to decide what you were going to choose for you. And you chose to not be limited. Right?
Yes, absolutely. Because, we serve, going back, we serve a God who is limitless.
Yeah.
We serve a God who is limitless. He's always trying to expand us and grow us and to give us that abundance that he would like for us. So that's what I continue to seek after, is that abundance and that expansion. And I feel myself limited. I say, wait a minute, I have to push away and say, and get that weight off of me. Lay aside every weight that easily besets us.
Run this race, right? Run the race that is ours to run. Absolutely. Lay it aside. Every weight, every sin that so easily, everyone. We lay it aside so that we can. You talked about pursuing purpose. You talked about, see, I took my notes. You talked about pursuing purpose. You talked about destiny. You talked about going after that which you know is yours to do. And it's very difficult to do it if we think we are limited. So Brisa says, I want to bring her up because she says the freedom to be. But then her next one, she says, Ryan is limitless. Yes, Ryan is limitless. No limits, Ryan. Brisa is in agreement with you. Where two or more are gathered together, or where there's agreement, right? We have agreement here. And so, Ryan, I'm super excited about the fight, about the press, about your determination. You also said something else so powerful. I am not depression. You said a whole lot of other things, but that's the one that stood out for me. I am not depression. I love that. I love that. And so, Ryan, give me a I am. I am. What are you?
I would say I am limitless.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Ryan, for that. Freedom to be. My brother Kevin, we are on to you, sir.
Yes, Dr. James.
On the top of the box. Take it, Kevin.
Life on top of the box. First of all, I want to say thank you to my co-authors, Ryan and Karl, for sharing and being so vulnerable. Because as men, it's very challenging for us to be vulnerable about our personal lives and things that we have to overcome, and things that we're still a work in progress on. And that's extremely important. And I want to say thank you to the visionary, Tara Hall, for bringing us all together and to be able to write this incredible book, Emerging Men. When I thought about my chapter, I thought about when I was 12 years old. I came across a poem called I Too by Langston Hughes that was written in 1925. And it goes like this. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes. But I laugh. Ha ha ha. Eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll sit at the dinner table when company comes. Nobody dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too sing America. 12 years old when I first came across that poem, not really understanding the complexities of race in America. and how it would play a major role later on in my life as a grown man. The labelizations that people put upon us and put us in those boxes. And living in the state of Connecticut, there are 169 municipalities, 169 towns. 153 are predominantly white. Only 16 towns in the state of Connecticut are where people of color are concentrated. So in my chapter, I started thinking about the things that people who have been historically disenfranchised, what we have to endure navigating through white spaces on a daily basis. I'm going to read an excerpt from my chapter. As people of color, we are often boxed in and prevented and limited from having high academic standards, rarely categorized as an intellectual or expert in a field of study. We must fight against the negative labels and ideologies of society. It is critical for all people to believe that someone who looks like us is more than what they are taught to believe. Often, as the only person of color in the room during my diversity, equity, and inclusion training workshops, it is a lot of weight to carry. I am often fighting against stereotypes and biases. Although this is a heavy load for people of color to bear, it is an honor at the same time. We have the opportunity to rewrite and redefine the narrative as individuals, families, and future generations. We were born into leadership. It is our time to embrace the freedom to be who we were born to be. We must rise up and not allow ourselves to be mentally or physically boxed in any longer. Let's change our perspectives and not allow anyone to define who we are. That's an excerpt from my chapter in the book, Emerging Men. And what I always think about is I think about a quote by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And he said, if you can't run, then if you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. And what I always think about and what made me write this particular part in the chapter in this book, Emerging Men, by 5 other incredible co-authors, was that never allow anyone to dictate your future because of your race, your gender, your socioeconomic status, or any other labelization or labels that society puts upon you. Don't allow anyone to put you in a box. You live on life on top of that box. Redefine your own perspective in life so you can continue pushing forward and tapping into your greatness and impacting the world around you. Thank you, Dr. James.
I don't even know. Like, what do I do with that? I am so honored, my brother. I am
Thank you.
So honored by that. There's so many elements to it that we could talk about. But this notion of a box, being pigeonholed, glass ceilings, being limited, being declassified, if you will, being all of those ostracized, all of the pieces. And in spite of that, your final message to your share was, don't let anyone, no matter what it is, what situation you find yourself in, whatever it is that is yours, you still have the freedom, the capacity, you still have the ability, you're still empowered to not allow someone else to dictate your future, your experience. Oh my God. Now see, I'm ready to take the pulpit. That's that's another one of my roles. I have a whole bunch of roles,
gosh.
This one got me ready to take the pulpit. Sir, oh my, I cannot wait. I know the books are out, and Ryan, I got my little note that my book is coming. I cannot wait to curl up with this here book and read so many elements that you talked about. 169 towns and 16.
That's it. So 153 towns in the state of Connecticut, right? I'm just talking about one state. Now think about all the 50 states, right? I'm just talking about the state where I live. 153 are predominantly white. 16 towns are where people of color are concentrated, which means out of those 153, they're not coming in close proximity with people who do not look like them.
Yes.
Which always continues to perpetuate racism, those ideologies, those preconceived notions that we continue to see throughout our life, right? And deal with on a daily basis. Like if I walked in a store without this shirt and tie and a suit on, they wouldn't look at me as a man with 4 college degrees.
Right.
I would be looked at and preconceived. They'll have these preconceived notions of who I may be.
Yes.
That's the society we live in. That's what encouraged me to write this chapter.
I love it. I love it. It's still mind-blowing in 2022. It's still mind-blowing that this is possible, right? And so the perpetuation of the separateness, because as long as any people is an other, we can objectify them. Do you see? We cannot see them as human. We can see them as that. And then it helps our conscience, if you will, to turn a blind eye to. And so, yes, so much. So you talked about walking into rooms and being the only one. And the weight, the responsibility that comes with being the only one, right? And I know during 2020 and a lot, and I live in Detroit. And predominantly Black, and I have been in Detroit since I was 3. And we lost so many inner city folk to COVID, right? Because of the disparities, preconditions, and that ties into all kinds of elements. And so when we think about this notion of carrying the load and raising the banner, if you will, that something has to change. Like, we can't be quiet. And this is why your component, this is why we can't stay in the box. This is why there can't be a box. Can't be, right? This is why. Because we have to go into the rooms. We got to be at the table so that we can and get it. If we're not at the table, then representation is likely not to happen.
Then we're on the menu.
On the menu, right?
If we're not at the table, then we are on the menu.
I'm
gonna say that one more time. If we're not at the table, then we are on the menu.
Unpack that just a little bit for me.
Okay. So we need to make sure we are in those rooms when decisions are being made, because that means our voices are not being heard in those rooms, which means others will dictate what happens in our communities. Just like what is happening now when you look at redistricting, like gerrymandering that is occurring right now throughout our country.
Yes.
Changing districts.
Yes.
So certain other politicians and other elected officials have more power.
Absolutely.
So then now we are not at the table.
Right.
Then we are on the menu.
Then we're on the menu. We not at the table, on the menu. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Look, you said, I'm going to park that one. I'm going to park that one. I'm going to stop on that one. That's the first time I heard it like that. I haven't heard it phrased quite that way.
Yeah.
But I heard you loudly. You also said that. So you also talk about the low, but you talked about the honor also.
That's right.
Being at the table and carrying the load, that we were
Mhm.
born into leadership, that we were born into leadership. And the last part when you talked about Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, if you can't run and walk, if you can't walk and crawl, but no matter what, and we saw this played out, we saw it throughout history, we see it every day.
Yeah.
No matter what, get up and keep on
Moving.
moving. Keep on moving. Thank you, my brother, for how you show up in the world.
Thank you, Dr. James.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. We've got so many comments here. So where we going, Dr. Joy? We've got patience. Lots. We got. Don't let you or anyone dictate your future. Yes. I think there's so many comments. We're not going to be able to get them all. I am limitless. Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Tasha Lyman. True, so true. Prejudice is internal, unconscious bias.
Right.
Hemingway. Thank you. Oh, we got a couple of Hemingways here tonight. And then Patience says, if we are not at the table,
we are on the menu.
they captured it already. Hashtag captured it already. Devira says, wow, I can't wait to read this book. My question, here's a question. As emerging men, what are your superpowers and how would you use this power to make a difference in the lives of young men? So we're going to let this be our last this can be our closeout question. It could be our closeout question. What's your superpower and how do you use it to make a difference in the lives of young men? And Brother Kevin, since we're with you, we will come back to you. Then we'll go to Brother Karl and we will end with Ryan.
Dr. James?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. It kind of just went out for a minute.
Oh, okay. So we're going to have you to respond to Devira's question.
Yeah, so what are my superpowers that I would have to use this power to make a difference in the lives of young men?
Yes.
I would say my superpower for a lot of the young men that I mentor, that I have dedicated my life to and who I became more of a father figure for.
Yeah.
You know, for some of those men who do not have father figures, you know, and I feel blessed that they're in my life because they have changed and impacted my life as well by being in their life.
Yes.
I would say my superpower for them is just telling them and being genuine, authentic with them that I love them. Because now by me telling them that I love them, now they understand that another man can tell them that they can tell their children one day that they love them as well, which also shows vulnerability. That's the superpower that I had to learn on my own as a man, is to be able to tell another man that I love you, brother. I'm here for you. I love you. I want you to do well. I'm here for you because I love you and I genuinely love you. Wow. And give them a hug and really mean it, that I love you, man. That's my superpower.
Wow. That's so powerful. So powerful. Thank you. Thank you for doing the work that allowed you to get to a place to be able to do that. That could be your superpower. Lives are forever transformed and healed because you did your work. I honor you, my brother. Thank you for doing that. Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. James.
Yes. All right. Hemingway. Well, how do you respond to the question?
Oh, yeah, it's a hard one. I don't know my superpowers. I'd have to be really thinking more about that. But I think as a mere mortal, I would hope to just be able to share some of my experience and hope that someone would learn maybe from my own mistakes and so that you both learn. When you have to teach, you learn from the person you're teaching from as much as they learn from you, and you become, I think, maybe a mentor or just someone that says the right thing at the right time.
Mhm.
Sometimes you bump into a perfect stranger, and something they say, they said it a different way, or maybe they're telling you something when you're ready to hear it, and it can change your life. So maybe it would be to change somebody's life for the better
Wow.
and be able to have an impact. And there's a phrase I've heard is that someone is on your shoulders and they have got to where they are today by being on your shoulders. And
Mm.
I know I'm not quoting it right, but
Yeah.
it's
Mm.
that idea that maybe you could help somebody up and lift them up.
Wow.
Yes, I love the imagery.
Mm.
I love it. Absolutely. Like none of us have gotten here by ourselves. And so,
Mm.
Karl, the fact that you have a willingness to share your story and live in your truth and to let others be
Mhm.
lifted by your experiences. Thank you, my brother. I so
Wow.
appreciate how you show up in the world.
Mm.
I
Oh,
appreciate it. And I
thank you.
love he said, as a mere mortal,
I know.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
That was
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you. What says scripture says laughter does a heart like medicine,
That's
right?
right.
It
Yeah.
does. I love it. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. All
Thank
right,
you.
Ryan, how you respond to the question?
I will respond to that. Someone told me, a life coach, that I have the superpower uh, to get people to open up.
Mm,
Mm.
So I'm gonna believe in that because from some of the experience that I have, I can I can I can see that and I can believe that. So with that power of having the ability to have someone open up as it relates to young men, is to simply sit with them.
Mm.
Is to
mm,
simply sit with them and listen, and
Mm.
to listen to what they have to say without
mhm.
any judgments,
Yeah.
um, and being able to withhold judgments and
Mm,
holding that space to
mm,
say, just as Brother
Mm.
Kevin say that say that I see you, I feel you,
yes.
Mm.
because I know what it felt, to feel like when to feel misunderstood.
Yes.
So for those who feel like they are misunderstood, I want to make them feel that they are
Mm,
understood. Um,
Mm.
Even though I may not have the same experience, to let them know that yes, I just hear you, and how can I love you? How can
mm,
I love you from here? How
mhm.
can how can I? I'm going to call Karl now. How can I pick you up? And how can I how can I hold you,
Yeah.
um, and to so you won't feel like you are broken,
That's
or
right.
so
Mm.
how can I do that? That's my superpower, to make people feel that they are belong,
Mm.
no
Wow.
matter where they come from. And what
Wow.
I mean, no matter where they come from, no matter if they are, no matter if they, there's what their sexual preference may be, no
Yeah.
matter what their gender may be,
Yeah.
no matter what race they may be,
Yeah.
their ethnicity, their culture,
Yeah.
no matter if what experience they may have had, whether
Mhm.
they've been, whether they've been raped, or whether they was in jail, no matter what.
Mhm.
Okay, I hear you. I'm listening.
Mm.
Mm.
And how would you like to move forward from here?
Mm. That part.
Wow.
That part.
Mm.
How would you like to move forward? Ultimately, we've got to get to action, but you allowed them. So the word that came to me as soon as you started talking and describing it was this idea of safe space.
Mm.
That you are a safe space for folk who need to be able to show up as they are so that they can figure out what they need to do to keep moving forward. To keep moving forward, right? And then, you know, the love and being heard. There's so, you know, we understand that suicide rates are through the roof, especially for our young folk, and for individuals not being able to know where to go and just to be able to tell their truth and not be judged, to be able to be okay with how they are, right? And to be loved right in that space. So Ryan, my brother, I thank you for holding that mantle, for creating that space, for being a person who can be trusted with other people and their stuff, right? And their stuff. Um, and so let's bring up what Tasha said, and then we're going to close out. Tasha said, "Mr. Kevin, you have an infectious laugh. It triggers Dr. James and me." I needed to say that also. Thank you for the dry humor, Mr. Karl. I cannot let these gifts go unnoticed.
Thank you.
Wow.
I know. Thank you, Tasha.
Yes, yes. Not Mr. King, non-judgmental is a powerful power. Yes. And Mr. Hemingway, mere mortal, powerful response. To each one of you, I really just want to express my love for you and my just real sincere appreciation for how you show up, for the journey that you have chosen to take, because clearly it's intentional, because you're telling your story out loud. You put it in print so that it could be seen and heard. We will never know who read our stories when we put it in print. We'll never know what lives are transformed and changed because we agreed to share our truth. But I am a firm believer that we are in some ways answers for other people at different times. You see, we're answers. And when we tell our truth, they can see what it is that they are looking for when we really tell our truth. So thank you for telling your truth, Ryan. Thank you for telling your truth, Karl. Thank you for telling your truth, Kevin. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow.
Thank you.
Yes, this has been so totally powerful. I am so grateful to have had this opportunity this evening. Again, I want to say thank you to Ryan King. This really came about because of his press. I had said that I would start this again, and I probably would have let January get past and not do it. But then I got a call from my brother like, "Hey, we're doing this. Do you have?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, how about this?" And actually I fumbled along the way, and I wasn't on top of things the way that I normally am. And you know, I believe in transparency and honestly and out myself and all those kinds of things. And Ryan stayed true to what it is that he knew was going to happen. And so I honor you for that, Ryan. I thank you for your press, for you knowing what it is that we were to do this evening. To each one of you who were here, the chat was on fire. It was on fire. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your engagement. Thank you for your energy, for your commitment to the conversation, and to each one of the co-authors. Oh, I do want to mention to the visionary Tara Hall. We honor you this evening for your vision for the women, for your vision for the men, for the work that you do, and for how you show up in God's universe. And to my listening audience, I send love to you. I have tremendous love for you because I believe in living in the overflow. I love me first. I love me completely. I love me well. When I do that, my cup runneth over and I have plenty to serve you. So that's why I can love you well. And so, beloved, at the moment that Abba gave us our breath, we forfeited, we relinquished, we gave up the right to not be amazing. You are amazing, unequivocally, undoubtedly, right? Without question, you are amazing, crafted by the mighty hand of God. Have a phenomenal evening. And this is Dr. Katherine E. James signing out from Conversations with yours truly. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye for now.